when elements of what you do could tear it down, you've constantly got to be thinking ahead, and you've got to do better for yourself to be better. Your mindset and your focus is going to put you in a good spot to have a productive day and to be in a good space with your clients. Huge, 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 huge. Honestly, I probably would say mindset pretty much trumps everything. You do need your body to be in shape in order to function. But if your mindset is good, you can make your body good. Literally by thinking it into existence. It'll push you to put one foot in front of the other. Hi, I'm Jennifer Janish, owner of Adored Salon and Adored Signature Hand-Tied Hair Extensions. I'm obsessed with curly hair. I cut it, style it, and extend it, and this podcast is all about my curly girl obsessions that stretch far beyond just curly hair. Hey, it's me, Jennifer, from the Curly Girls Obsessions, coming to you live from one of my kids' bedrooms. I know it's probably not the best background, but honestly, it's the quietest room in the house with the best lighting. So the background, it just adds character to the video. So today we are going to talk about a topic that I get so many questions in DMs for, and it's how have you been a hairstylist for over 35 years? I don't even feel like I'm 35 years old, to be totally honest. And I think that that's part of it, right? I definitely have in my head, like I feel younger than what I am. And for those of you who don't know it, I am 50. So I started hair school when I was in high school. I had just turned 16, like just turned 16. And I knew I wanted to do hair like my whole life, literally. I talk in other episodes about how when I was 4 years old, I taught myself how to French braid. And it was like tunnel vision getting there. And I think that that has kind of been what has served me very well in this career and just in life in general, is that I do have tunnel vision. When I start something, I'm going to achieve it no matter how many failures, no matter how many setbacks it takes. I'm going to learn it and I'm going to succeed at it eventually. And that is probably what has kept me in this business for so long. Because first and foremost, I have such a passion for the beauty industry, you know, so much more than just hair. Like I love makeup. I love clothing. I love like all things that are beauty, and associated with the hair industry comes all of those things. So I really feel like that laid the foundation for me wanting to be a hairstylist from such a young age. And when we get to the aspect of standing on your feet and putting your body through the ringer for 35 years, there also were times in my career where I worked. It was normal for me to work anywhere from 12 to say 14 hours a day, see anywhere from 15 to 25 guests, and double, triple, and quadruple book. Okay, so I also know that by today's standards, that's not very normal without like 10 assistants. And going back to when I used to do that, there was a salon assistant who shampooed and cleaned up the salon for everyone. There was not assistants that worked on clients with you. That just really and truly wasn't a thing then. Like it was almost like looked down on, like as if you couldn't carry your own load, right? And I know it sounds crazy. It actually was crazy. Like I remember working 5 days a week and working an insane amount of hours and it was all I could do to get through the week. And it was like the hours at the beginning of the week were less than what it was at the end of the week. Meaning, on a Tuesday, I'd probably start out working 8 hours a week, 8 hours on my schedule. So probably put in like anywhere from 9 to 10 hours on a Tuesday by the time everything was done at the end of the day. On Wednesday, I probably was on the schedule for 9 hours, Thursday, 9 hours. And like I said, there's always like a 2-hour buffer, especially when you're double and triple and quadruple booked, because it just compiles, right? And then Fridays, we would be 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then Saturdays was 8 to 5 p.m. So you can imagine how I felt at the end of a Friday, like dead tired. And I remember when, my husband and I were high school sweethearts. So we have been together the entire duration of my career. And he would always get so mad because I would not have energy to go out on a Friday night. And I'd be like, I just need to like come home, shower, eat, and pretty much go to bed, because I'm just going to run this marathon again tomorrow and I just can't go out. So he would do like his own thing on a Friday night, totally fine, because I literally would be so exhausted. But then Saturday, I would come home from work and I would need at least an hour to 2 hours worth of sleep before we could go out. So that meant that on a Saturday, we weren't going out probably until 7:30, 8 p.m. And, whatever, right? Like, and when I think back to that time in my life, I lived on my own. I swear I lived off of a pack of instant oatmeal in the morning, my coffee, and lunch. There was this great Greek restaurant down the street. I'd order a grilled cheese on Greek toast and then their soup of the day with fries. And then I would come home and dinner would be scrambled eggs and tortillas, because it was so easy to make and it was enough for me to eat and feel full. And then I could just go to bed, right? There really wasn't time for exercise. That was all when I was in my 20s. And, I really was like, oh, the only benefit was that to my body from me was I wasn't a big drinker and I wasn't a partier, right? Like, who could have time for any of that baloney when you were working that schedule? And my coworkers at the time were older than me, and they'd be like, oh my God, you need to go out. You need to do this. We did this. We did that. And, I'd be like, you guys, it is all I can do to work these hours and do the client and produce at the level that I'm doing this, besides going out and getting wasted. Like, it just wasn't something that I wanted to do, right? But the one thing that I would do would be, like, every couple months, I'd go out with my girlfriends and we'd go out dancing on, say, a Saturday night when my husband would stay at school. And what this meant was that I was going to come home from work on a Saturday, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, then get fully ready, because then there was like none of this wait, like you didn't leave your hair for days, right? You washed your hair all the time. Wash my hair fully, get ready, go out at midnight and stay out and dance all night long. I was always the designated driver because I was the one drinking water. I know, right? Hyper responsible all the time. It was in my genes from birth, I think. And if you want to learn more about that, go back and listen to the very first episode of Who is Jennifer Janish, and you'll understand why, okay? And so, but then I think I needed 2 full days to recover. And by the time I went back to work on Tuesday, I was good again. But moving into being older, I think it has been to my benefit that alcohol is not in my life personally. Like, I don't drink. I believe in exercise So what I do with that is I usually get up in the morning, I have protein, coffee, and I'll have like oatmeal with egg whites in it and fruit cooked down on top of it. Like I'll put raspberries, blueberries, and a little bit of brown sugar in a pan, and I'll turn that like almost into like a syrup to pour over the oatmeal so that I get in like 30 grams of protein in the morning. And then I work out, I lift heavy weights. When you get to be my age too, like all the studies show that as a woman, you need to be lifting weights, creating muscle, because your body is like deteriorating your muscle on its own daily. And all the good things that that does for it. And then I walk on the treadmill, probably 2 miles a day. I do yoga too. So in any given week, I will go to yoga 2 to 3 times a week on top of that lifting weights regimen. And lifting weights, I probably do 4 to 5 times a week, and walking the 2 miles again 4 to 5 times a week, right? So I really and truly respect the temple that is my body. With that being said, there have been times in my career where my body has totally failed me, right? Let's say 4 pregnancies, which I was super fortunate. I'm a really good pregnant person. I'm German. I think I got like a really good background for strong bones, breeding babies, like all the things. But yeah, when I had babies, like I would do those marathon days and I would stand. Was it the best for me? Probably not, but I did get through it. But where I'm going with this was the fact that I have had like what would be considered tennis elbow, where my arm has frozen. And that doesn't go away in a day. Like that lasted a good 6 months, and it was super painful. During that time, like I saw a chiropractor twice a week, and I did that for a good like 6 years. That was amazing. I do massages because my shoulders, right, from standing, working with my hands in front of me, doing all the things. Thank God I don't do a lot of blowouts anymore because I'm a curl specialist. That helps. But the blowout season of my life really turned my shoulders and my collarbone into stone. That was always my chiropractor's complaint. Like, you are like a rock between your shoulders and your neck. And honestly, it's probably where I carry a lot of my stress too. And so doing that and getting massages and the yoga really helps to stretch it out. Will that ever be perfect? I don't think so, because I think like everybody's body tells the story, right? And that's where mine is held. It is definitely in my neck and my shoulders. And for all the reasons I just explained to you, right? My arms are always up doing the things. And 2, like lifting weights, like this morning, I noticed when I was doing like lat pull downs that all of a sudden I could feel that I twerked something on my right side in my shoulder. And I was like, It didn't stop me, but I could feel a burn, right? And I'll notice in yoga too, when we do like these twists and stuff, it's crazy. It feels like there's electricity running through my right hand, particularly my thumb. And they say like when you're in it, like if you feel that, you should stop, right? But I'm always like, why is this happening? And when I say electricity, I can feel pulsating through that hand. And I'm like, you know, obviously they say to stop because you're twerking a nerve in a weird way. But I'm always like, this is probably good. It's probably stretching this out, and it probably really needs it. And so, yeah, like that'll happen. And truth be told, it was a year ago, last July, I tore my plantar fasciitis in my foot. And I was like, of course, I asked the podiatrist, like, why does this happen? You know, and their excuse, they say like overuse, you know, you stand on your feet, think of a rubber band that's constantly stretching. You came to the end of your stretch and it snapped, right? Here's something else that's really crazy about that though, too. Like all the things that I'm studying for this era of my life, like I said, I'm 50. Estrogen supposedly starts depleting and it affects your joints and your tendons big time, right? So plantar fasciitis is very common over the age, I believe it's like 45, when it starts happening to women for the depletion of estrogen. The fact that I tore mine was probably a combination of the fact that that's what's going on, plus I stood on my feet all these years. Now, being at this stage in my career, I definitely don't work the hours that I used to work. I don't know that, I mean, I guess if I had to, I could probably do it again. But now I work 17 hours ish behind the chair, but also I'm running a hair salon, I'm running the hairline, I'm doing the education, I'm learning all these other skills for behind the scenes work that take to do the job that I do, right? So thankfully, when that happened, I wasn't working a ton of hours. I had lessened my hours in January of 2023. I stopped working nights and I had already stopped working weekends probably 7 years prior to that. So, you know, it was a little bit more doable, but also, like I've said, I'm one of those people, I'm like, okay, well, this is also my career. Just because I tore my plantar fasciitis doesn't mean I have the luxury of just sitting this one out now and doing something different. This is my skill. This is my passion. So I did all the things to get that back on track, right? Like I listened to the doctors, I wore the boot, I did the things, I did everything so that I'm able to continue on standing and doing my job. And I think that that's a lot of the reason behind the DMs is people asking that, because there's so much conversation on social media and all the outlets about the fact of like people talking about your body giving out. And that is what makes being a hairstylist hard, is like, how do you endure this for the long haul? Well, number one, you don't do drugs. You don't consume a lot of alcohol, because it's going to be really hard to show up the next day and do a great job. Your clients are going to know it. And also the exercise and giving back to your body what you do take away from it, or what age does naturally. You have to be super conscious of this. I'm one of these people who, like, you know, my grandma, she lived to be, I believe it was like 78. She had heart issues. She, you know, broke her hip later on in life, which is super common, but always being aware of like what lessons we could take from the older generations and refine it and make it better to now, right? And one of the things that my grandma and my mom really never did was exercise. So I'm like, I definitely need to do this, because we've seen all the benefits. And if you are a hairstylist on your feet, working behind the chair, seeing clients, giving back to your body by working out is going to be key to longevity in your career. Not just because you're doing good for your body, but it's a mental mindset reset. We are one of the only professions that touch people. And if you're like me, I get a little bit woo-woo in this area, because I'm like, you touch that person, you take away from them the energy that they are carrying. They also tell you stories about their life. And I'm going to say that probably 70% of the conversation with the client while they're talking to us and I try to keep it hair focused, but we all know after time you do become friends with them and things get a little bit deeper. You get more conversation that maybe is a little bit darker than the average run-of-the-mill conversation, right? So as the hairstylist, you take this stuff on, and the only way, right, to get it out of your mind without just sitting on your couch and allowing Netflix to take over your thoughts, which I'm not saying I don't do, because I definitely do that, but the workout is a great mindset reset, right? It releases endorphins, gives, like, I know it definitely drops some dopamine into the system. You feel better. You know you're doing something for yourself. It is so important. And if you could get massages, chiropractic work, again, even that's helping too. You just gotta remember to give back to yourself, and keeping your mindset in the right place is going to be key as well, because if you go in with a shitty ass mindset, you're going to have a shitty ass day. You're not going to produce the work that you would produce on a good day, right? Like, you've got to figure out how to compartmentalize, and you have got to figure out how to get your mind where it needs to be to deal with Sally, who loves her hair, has a great life, and Mary Jo, who's possibly going through a divorce, dealing with menopause, dealing with a child that's, you get where I'm going, right? And then you got to have a thick skin, because not everybody's going to love what you do either. And there are days that clients have said that they hate the way that I've done their hair. Believe it or not, it has happened to me. And you can't deal with that in a positive mindset manner when you're already in the shitter. You've got to be on your best game 24/7 as a hairstylist, because shit like that does happen. And it is going to upset you. It is going to bring you down. So you've got to have the tools in your toolbox in order to get out of it, right? You've got to figure out how to get out of it. And sometimes it is taking my lunch and sitting in my car and doing a meditation in order to change that. Those are techniques that I've used in the past. Also, being in this career for 35 years, it's not like I do the same thing day in and day out. I could be that stylist that does that, right? But I choose not to be. I am constantly elevating my skills in this career, because I would get bored if I did the same thing over and over. I would get bored if I was just like, oh God, I have Mary again today for 6N touch-up with 20 volume, her layered haircut with her blowout, and then after I have Jane for her 6N and 6NB touch-up with 20 volume with her layered haircut and her blowout. Like, yes, fingernails down a chalkboard, needles poked into my eyes, that would drive me nuts. But honestly, that was my life before I became a curly hair specialist. Now, my days consist of curly hair clients, and I have longer blocks of time for those clients because it takes longer, and I'm really not double and triple and quadruple booked like I was before. So that also makes it easier, right? It's just changing it up. And then on days when I do extensions, I'm with one client all day. Now, some of you are listening to this thinking, oh my God, how in the hell do you do that? Very simple. Sometimes if I need a break, or my mind is just like not able to focus on a good conversation, but I could get the service done with my eyes closed, I will put my AirPods in and totally go somewhere else in my mind while I'm working. Better for me, better for the client, better for the service. It actually really helps. But elevating my career constantly with new skills, pushing myself further out of the box than where I was yesterday. I think that's so important, again, because if you get bored, your brain goes elsewhere. You need to keep it focused in on the here and now, feeling good, being good, doing better, right? So if you push yourself into learning a new skill, your brain focuses on how you're going to integrate this into your current services, and how are you going to do it? Mastering it, becoming, I could say the perfectionist at it, because honestly, that is probably what I do 99% of the time. Whenever I learn something new, I hyperfixate on it and I want to learn it and understand it. But that is how you keep elevating yourself and remove the boredom and your need for other vices to give you the dopamine rush that you should be getting from your daily life and your career, right? That is huge, 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 huge. Last but not least is my work environment. So in 35 years, I've worked in a lot of different salons. I've even I've always worked, when I've worked in a hair salon, it's always been a commission-based salon. And I even had a salon in my home when my kids were little, in my basement. And I ran that like a full-blown salon. I had an assistant, I had a schedule. Nobody was just showing up at my house willy-nilly like, oh, I need my hair colored today. And they also were not dictating to me when they were coming and what they were being charged. Like, it was run like a salon. And so now to 2026, I've owned Adored Salon for 13 years, and I have definitely cultivated the type of environment that I want to be in. I surround myself with people that I like to work with. And yes, as the owner of the salon, I am 100% in control of making that happen, right? But when I also was in a salon atmosphere, I always worked in a smaller salon, and I really enjoyed the people I was around then. And when I worked in a bigger salon for a couple of years, I gravitated towards the group of people that I liked to be with then, right? I definitely associate myself with that top tier level. And I did not waste my time in those hair salons in the back room commiserating about how awful things were, right? No, that was not me. I did not have time for that. I was out on the floor making money. And when I wasn't out on the floor making money, I was chatting it up with the other stylists, with clients at the time who were super successful. And I was absorbing whatever I could from them. Very early on in my career, one of the owners of the salon had said to me, and this reigns true no matter what career you are in, you watch everything with your eyes, because nobody can take away what you learn, and you will steal tips and tricks on how to do things better, how to be better, how to elevate yourself, how to be that person by watching, right? And understanding how they do it. So there was no time for backroom drama in my career the entire time I was in a salon. And I tell that also to my current team, like, don't waste your time in this back room, because usually nothing productive happens back there. I mean, yeah, we sit back there and we chit chat and we laugh. That's fine. But trust me, if I ever walk in on them complaining, I would be really pissed, because at Adored Salon, there's not that much to complain about. At least I like to think that. So if your work environment isn't what you want it to be, you make it what you want it to be. You flip that switch in your brain and you're like, from today moving forward, I am walking into that salon as, Jennifer the hairstylist. I'm dressing the part. My hair is going to be done. My makeup's going to be done. My shoes are going to be clean. My outfit is going to look great. I'm going to not be messy. I'm not going to chat it up in the back room. I'm going to sit with the people that I want to be most like. And if nobody's in your salon like that, then you make that person, right? And maybe you grow out of that environment and find a new environment. But having a work environment that you like is crucial for the long haul in this industry. So just a recap, we're going to say, if you want to be a hairstylist and you want to do it for a long time, you have to have passion for the industry. You have to respect the ability of your body, and you need to feed it what it needs in order to function, right? You need to make sure that you eat right, that you exercise, that you stretch, that you just do all the things to give back to that temple and keep things on the up and up. Even when elements of what you do could tear it down, you've constantly got to be thinking ahead, and you've got to do better for yourself to be better. Your mindset and your focus is going to put you in a good spot to have a productive day and to be in a good space with your clients. Huge, 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 huge. Honestly, I probably would say mindset pretty much trumps everything. You do need your body to be in shape in order to function. But if your mindset is good, you can make your body good. Literally by thinking it into existence. It'll push you to put one foot in front of the other. What number am I on? 4. Elevating your skills is huge. Continuing your education. This is where I'm going to give you my shameless plug for my curly education. We'll drop the link for that below, because if you're not constantly elevating your skills, you're staying stuck. And staying stuck gives you a toxic mindset, which also will affect your body's ability to perform. It just is true, right? Like, the better you do for yourself, the more you're gonna do. Number 5 is your work environment. Huge, huge, huge. But, or I shouldn't say but, if you don't work in a work environment that you love currently, make it one that you love. And if you can't make the current one you love, go search out and interview salons to find one that you do love. Those are my top 5 tips for longevity as a hairstylist: treating yourself with respect, giving back to yourself, and doing what's right by you. So I hope you liked this. If you know someone who could benefit from it, pass it along. I would love you to share. If you don't already subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.